Good morning. Markets closed. It is Good Friday. Wanted to go over the expansion of the Grid Algo program. So the program's expanding. I'm going to go over work I'm doing to my Grid Algo website and all the additional items that will be showcased going forward. We have a fantastic expansion of the program going forward by adding the Algo IQ tools. I'm going to talk a little bit about that this morning. The big thing that's really important in trading, and I picked like the lunchtime period to show you, is yes, we typically get nice, what I call structural moves out of the open, but then a lot of systems will get beat up a bit during the lunchtime period, kind of the period where the first couple hours have played out. Then we go through the lunchtime period before we get to the final hour or two, what some people call the power hour right at the end, the final hour. I even, consider I kind of consider the last 2 hours of the day power hours, as, what's the old saying? Retailers open the market and professionals or institutionals close the market, meaning they let the retails do their thing the first part of the day, and then they come in and park the market wherever they want going into the next day. So they close the market at levels that they want. So, so the good thing is, since I've allowed uh, others to have access to, in a synergistic way, have access to the Grid Algo tools to expand the reach and to expand. And this is really important. Why it's so good when somebody develops something and then allow others to expand on it that have technical proficiency and unique tools themselves. That combined synergy then is a very smart play to have more eyeballs and more brains utilizing the tools and looking at tools in various ways. For instance, like the dual bands, to come up with maybe even better ways of using, new math in the bands, or different ways of representing them graphically. So when you add, especially when somebody has 30 years of programming experience, and you add that capability and then tie in a platform like Algo Studio Pro to take the outputs from the dual bands and turn that into customized automated trading, that's one heck of a force multiplier. So I love that phase. I love when I allow others that have ideas or mentalities when it comes to programming or tools development to expand upon what's been built. So it's kind of like you put the seed in the garden and you get a piece of fruit growing or a vegetable, and then you take that seed that you used to do that, and then you work with others to plant more, and sooner or later, a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, you have a whole garden full of vegetables or fruit or whatever you're growing. So I love that process. And this is exactly what all major corporations do. They go gobble up new ideas and they say, ooh, hey, company that's been around 5, 6, 7, 8 months, I like what you're doing over there. What would it take to add that to the mix? And let's do some combined, have access or rights to what you developed. So I love that phase because now we have an expanded group of not only development side and experienced market side looking at ways to expand upon what I originally built. That also allows me to continue to develop my ideas with a higher programming and overall deployment capability. Beautiful, beautiful moves going on here. So let's talk about the lunchtime period. So the lunchtime period, this is about 10:40, 10:50 a.m. U.S. Central Time. The first 2 hours of the market's about played out. We get a long signal, then we get a short signal, Let's make these lines bigger. Now, this is usually the time of day I almost never trade unless I'm in a trade where I have a runner or something profound. There's been a big move and we've hit a key level. Here was another signal. Here was another signal. Here was another signal. Here was another signal. So the idea is when you're in the periods of time when the market's making the big structural moves, yeah, even bad systems can catch the turning points for the most part when there's reversals. Now, most systems that are using lagging old school indicators will be getting into reversals maybe after about a third of the move is played out. And that's still acceptable if you're on optimized settings and that works. If you're on something that's more responsive to price and can auto adapt to rapid changes in volatility, whether it's expansion and contraction, then those type of systems can typically get in the first 20% of the move, or if you got a super system, in the first 12 to 15% of the move. And the key is, this is a very important point. A lot of retail trading development side groups don't understand is the difference between institutional systems, which I have experience with, and retail systems is most retail tools developers don't realize that the reason that institutional systems can trade for years and never stop working, regardless of the market continuing to change behaviors, is their tools and the math and computational mechanisms they use auto adapt. The tools are built to auto adapt to rapid changes in volatility, whether it's collapsing in volatility, expansion, whether it's intraday or longer term. Most retailers that build retail side tools developers that are working with old school indicators never have that as a critical component of the math they're using or the programming style or the calculation style. Everything I built for a long time, I started incorporating that back in the day with the new Algo, original generation 2 bands. Now I'm on to generation 5 bands. In recent weeks, I've come up with a whole new mind-boggling way of working a price channel that I would have never thought of before. And at about the same time, I came up with what is the Algo IQ, a new approach to an indicator that can read price in a way that I can utilize it for reversal points or shifting from downside momentum to upside, or upside momentum to downside, downside to upside. So to use it as a reversal indicator, but also when I get linear runs of price that are very, very different than typical price action, we can see that and utilize that as a standalone signal. So we might get a signal right here, have a very tight stop just below 2 bars back from the trigger bar, and ride that high move of momentum that's very linear in nature with a very active and tight trail stop. There was one there, and so on. Beginnings of one here. And a lot of these, they start out and then they fizzle out or they start to oscillate. Well, that's okay. What you're looking for is what percentage of these trades that I get into, I have an immediate positive movement in my intended direction, so I can get my stop. So if I get a signal, maybe I get a signal right here, and I have a stop no more than 2 bars back, that if I get the move, I can immediately in the beginning part of the move get my stop to come up to break even or close to break even plus. And then if we have a pullback, it just blips me out, no harm, no foul. But if I get another signal and I have my stop no more than 2 bars back and she runs for me, I'm right away to break even plus, and then as it's running, I'm getting an active trail stop. So the idea is to catch a little piece of move on the trades that don't really work out, but then on ones that run, okay, now I'm getting 3, 4, 5 to 1 but I'm never having any bad losers. The losers are very small. So even if I had 3 or 4 bad losers in a row, like meaning I got full stop out, which is nothing, I could have one trade. So I could be a 25% win to loss ratio and come out, I'd be sitting close to break even. So that's the key, because I'm swinging at a certain type of pitch here, and when I hit it, it's gonna go flying out of the park. And what's the typical batting average of a Major League Baseball player? In the 2.6 to 2 point or 0.26 to 0.29 range, maybe, I'm guessing. So those guys are only running, a 26 to 29% hit to no hit ratio, but they're getting paid a lot of money. And then there's some that can, hit, in the 0.3s. So those are the best of the best. The nice thing is this ability to catch these linear price movements in the same tool, or at least the tool computationally shifted a bit into a different mode within the Algo IQ indicator, gives it a dual role capability. So this is all part of my program expanding as I take my Grid Algo program, my site, and expand out, where I'm now focusing on the development of the Algo IQ and something that I'm probably call like super bands or something. Wow, did I come up with a whole new way, completely different way of looking at price action. Just doing trial and error experimentation with different types of math and computational outcomes. So especially in reversal mode, if you can get a system that can hold its own during the chop and not beat you up, even during the worst market conditions that typically frustrate most traders, now you're on to something that has a significant capability, especially for prop account trading, because prop account trading, you got to go in every day and thread the needle. You can't go and be gunslinging or play wild, trading on a prop account. So that's the key. That's absolutely what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to have something that's more precise than anything I'd ever built before. So that system can be utilized for traders that are trading prop accounts to do that with precision when they're in the funded mode, so they can trade safe, trade a little bit higher position size with very defined risk, very structured approach. But then, so when you're trading live, you can kind of trade in one mode where you're really, really safe and going after a daily profit objective, because that's powerful, spread out over many, many accounts. But then in another mode, hey, when these groups are doing 70, 80, and 90% off, or I can go buy from daytraders.com when they have a 90% off. I can buy, 10 300K accounts for 52 or 53 bucks a piece. Then have another mode where I can go in and trade to go get that account passed fast with a super, super, super low possibility that I could ever blow out the account. Meaning I can go trade some size and I can hit these reversals in almost any market conditions and get that account passed as fast as I can. So I minimize the days of exposure I have to the market in that trying to get the account passed. So hurry up, get the account passed, then shift your mode into a conservative, what we call on our institutional FX side, systematical, methodical, and boring. You just trade hyper mechanical with the same system, toned down position size, and very smart in-trade management. So anyhow, I'll put out more videos this weekend on the expanding program. And if you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com.